Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome to my channel, and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification button. And I wasn't going to do a video tonight. I was just going to go to bed, but I knew my subscribers shouldn't have to wait a whole day for me to upload. So I'm just going to do chapter 2. So it's a quick video, and it's pretty much about his early years. And it starts off with Christopher being born on May 16th of 85. He weighed 10 pounds and was only 19 inches long. He was born in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And he was born on a Thursday at 7 p.m. And his parents did not have maternity insurance. And so they say that it took them 18 months to pay this off. And that they had another child that was 7 years old, and that is Chris's sister, Jamie Watts. And that they grew up close, and that they're still close today, and that Chris and his dad are close, and that they bond over cars, and that they've actually been to the Bristol and the Daytona races together, and that Chris is quiet like his dad and soft-spoken. And that Chris was never openly affectionate, and he did not show emotion. He did make good grades, and he never got in trouble. He loves sports, and Ronnie actually coached his Little League, and that his parents are still married today, and that they live in a little modest home, and that his dad works at the dealership, and that his mom works in finances, and that Chris spent a lot of time reading and watching TV and spending time with his grandmother, and that Chris was her favorite, and that she was a German lady that was not affectionate, and that she loved Christopher, and that he spent a lot of time with her because Cindy had to go to work, and that her and her mother did not get along. And even though she lived down the street, she tried to control Cindy and tell her how to raise her children, and that the grandmother was extremely negative, and it did not rub off on Christopher. And that he never dated, and he only had 2 friends growing up, and he's still friends with those 2 people today, and they just can't believe that he was able to do this. And that he didn't go to school dances. He stayed at home and watched TV with his parents. And he didn't mingle or go to parties. He just liked to stay under the belt. And that Cindy thought he was too perfect of a teenager. And that he went to a Baptist church growing up. And that church made him fear that he would die and go to hell. And that religion taught him not to drink and not to go to dances and not to have sex before marriage, and that he was afraid of God, and that he did not want to displease God because he did not want to go to hell, and that he obeyed all the rules so it would please God, and that Cindy heard him repenting in the bathroom over and over in like an OCD manner, and here Chris Watts' family says that this only happened one time in middle school, and that it didn't happen over and over, and that this is where the author has elaborated beyond the truth. And that when Cindy did ask Chris what he was repenting for in the bathroom, that Chris just said that that was his way of praying, and that he did it every time before he took a shower. It was like his pattern of prayer. And Chris says in this chapter that he was not sure if Shanann believed in God, that they never even talked about her beliefs. And that when he graduated from high school, he really wanted to go to this NASCAR technical school because he wanted to try to get on the circuit for the NASCAR cars to be working on them. And that he never made it on that circuit. That he did buy tools, and he was proud of his accomplishment, and that he spent $25,000 on tools, and that his parents had to sell that collection for only $3,000 when Chris went to prison. And that he was making before he met Shanann $2,500 a month, and he had saved money for his future, and he was looking forward to getting married and having kids of his own, and that he had his own place, and that he had good credit, and that he was really good with money and responsible with paying the bills. And the Watts family told the author that they budgeted and lived frugal, and that they taught Chris well. That when he was an adult, he never dated much, that he was too shy, that it wasn't that he didn't like girls, because he did. And his cousin told him about Shanann, and he wasn't very interested at first. And as soon as his cousin showed him a picture of Shanann, that he thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world. And so he had the nerve to message her on Facebook because of her beauty. And that she didn't answer his request at first. And his cousin had to tell Shanann that Chris was a very good guy. And so Shanann thought that she had nothing to worry about. And so she finally accepted his friend request, and they decided to meet. And they dated for 2 years. And then he proposed to Shanann on the beach in front of both families. So the Ruseks and the Watts were there when he proposed. And that they got married in November of 2012. The author says here in the book that Shanann had a huge presence on Facebook and YouTube. And I'm not sure she had that huge presence on YouTube, because I have never seen her channel. So if you guys know of a YouTube channel that Shanann had a huge presence on, please let me know about that down below. And also, the author says that she was always positive and helpful, and that she was live on Facebook a couple of times a day. And that that was a stressor for Chris, that he did not want to be on camera. And sometimes she would just spontaneously put him on, and he did not like that at all. He did not like that attention, and that she loved being in front of the camera. And that Shanann did portray them as a happy, perfect family. And she was bragging on Facebook at times about how lucky that she and the girls were to have Chris. And the author also says in this chapter that the Ruseks and the Watts have been treated brutally, and that the media has harassed them, and that they took away both the families' right to mourn. And that these people have suffered at the hands of people who feel like they have a right to know everything. Now, I agree with Sherilyn, but she is one of those people too. She felt like she had the right to tell Chris's story because she was going to give him a chapter for his testimony. So even she felt like she had a right to know, because she said there was just something that drew her to the case and just made her want to write Christopher. So she can lump herself in that category as well. So she says that the families were Chris's collateral damage, and that Cindy Watts keeps asking herself what she did not see, and if there were signs that she missed, and why couldn't she see this coming. And she says that she blames herself because her and Shanann were not getting along right before the murders, and they never got along. So he told her that Shanann, Cindy also says that the last time she saw Chris was on August 5th, and that he told his mom that him and Shanann were separating, and his mom says that she asked him if he was stepping outside on his marriage, and that he assured her that he was not. And the author says that a mother stops loving her child, and that the Watts do still love Christopher, and that Cindy still dotes on him, and she doted on him her whole life, and that she is not used to not having control. And now that Christopher is in prison, she has lost complete control over him. And that Chris always looked up to Ronnie and thought that he was his hero. And that Chris blocked out most of what happened right after the murders. He has finally pieced everything together, but in the beginning, when he was giving us all this you-know-what BS, he says that he didn't even remember that he had blocked it out too. That he is paying for his crime with the rest of his life. that he is a broken man that is pieced together by God's grace, and that he thinks that if we know about the couple of months leading up to the murders, that we will be able to piece together why he did this. And that it is very important to Chris what people think about him. And he's always tried to be good and kind and helpful. And he's always cared what people thought. And it made a difference to him. And it really bothers him that people hate him and judge him. And Chris says that he hopes that some person can relate to this book and that he could help one person stop that one bad decision that would cause them a travesty. So this is very narcissist of Chris. This is very like, woe is me. And, you know, you still have your life. And you didn't get the death penalty. And you have a lot of freedom that Shanann and your children and your baby do not. And so I don't understand where this not wanting to be hated or judged, well, then you shouldn't murder, okay? I'm sure there's plenty of murderers in your prison right now that you hate or are judging because they murdered. And you are excluding yourself from that category. You are no different, Watts. Okay, and so unfortunately, they paid with their lives, and you have to pay with all this uncomfortableness. Okay, that is just a small fragment of what you did to your family. But that's my personal opinion. I am just reading what the author is saying in this book, you guys. This is not how I feel. This is not something that I want to put out there. I just feel like that this is good information in each chapter that you need to know that she is writing in them. So, thank you so much. Also, I don't know if I already told you that there are a couple of inconsistencies in the author and what the Watts family is saying Chris is saying, like the oxys and lots of other stuff. So we will be going over the inconsistencies as we go through the book. The next video I'm going to make is chapter 3. I wasn't going to make a video at all, but I decided that I couldn't leave y'all hanging. Please hit that subscribe button. I promise never to put links down below to ask for money. Other YouTubers do that. That is awesome. I am just trying to make myself different than everybody else, and that is just one of the things I thought of that I could do. But I am not hating on anyone that does that, so please don't take that the wrong way. Thank you so much for all my 200 subscribers, and you guys are awesome.